So, good evening, everybody. My talk is to. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Okay. So, my talk is today about Kasoli geoparks in northwest Indian Himalayas. So, Kasoli is situated right here in between, sandwich between Chandigarh and Shimla, and this is the cross section of the entire Himalayas. This is Chandigarh, Kasoli, Shimla, this is Kaza, and this is Ladakh. And this is the panoramic view of the Kasoli hill. This is the school where I study, this cantonment school. This is the playground, army cantonment, and this is how the Kasoli hills look like when you are traveling from Chandigarh. So this is Parwanu, Pinjore, famous for archaeological sites, the stone tools, and we have Kalka, we have Ghaggar, which is tributary of Saraswati river, the Saraswati civilization. So foothills of Kasoli has a lot to do with our early civilizations. So this is Ghaggar tributary, entire showing. Now this is when you were a small child. I belong to Kasoli, and here we see the famous peak. This is the Kasoli hill, the Monkey Point. We have this Monkey Point, and it is famous because it has something to do with Ramayana times when Hanumanji was carrying Sanjeevani Booty from Himalayas. His first step was here, and from here he took that flight to rescue the Rama. And so this top of the hill is almost like a foot of a human being, and later on this temple was constructed, and we have Air Force Station here. So this is the ancient connection. This is when we used to go to our home or from the school or vice versa. These were the roads which we used to walk. These are heritage market now, and they derived this heritage status from the roads which were built about more than 100 years ago, and still nothing has been changed. No money has been spent on their repairs. Still this entire geological knowledge have saved hundreds of rupees. Another important institute is the Central Research Institute. Here my father used to work, and this was famous for being the Kasoli Pasteur Institute, the Louis Pasteur Institute, and it was dedicated to do research on immunology and virology. And if things would have gone right, this institute would have been the pioneering institute to fight COVID-19, but unfortunately politics and all played role, and this institute is in a very bad shape. Another important feature which I remember as a child was these tanks. These tanks were constructed in 1900s, early 90s. So these were made by the Britishers when they started expansion and established the cantonments and first cantonments in Himalayas. So what they did was they collected all the waters from North Spring and South Spring, and these waters were collected in these tanks, and then they were pumped from here to the Kasoli town. So this was quite interesting aspect, and still Kasoli town gets water from these water tanks only. The other important aspect which I remember is the Kasoli brewery. This was built very adjacent to these water tanks, and this was built by Edwin Dyer in 1820s, and later on they wanted to build the best Scottish whiskey in Asia here, and the tradition continues here. They have very good brands which still continues. But another important, this has some connection with our independence, and that is his son, Edward's son, was Reginald Dyer, who was the brigadier when the massacre and he ordered that shootout at Jallianwala Bagh on 30th April on Baisakhi Day, where more than 10,000 people were there, and they were just massacred like anything. Thousands were lost their lives, and that was the history about this. And this was known as Dyer Makin breweries. Later on, Makin came in, and history goes by that when Nehru was visiting Shimla and he was asked to visit this brewery after independence, so he refused to visit that because that name Dyer was there. So since it was bought by Mohan, so they changed the name Mohan Makin Limited. So that was how it got its name as Mohan Makin Limited. Sanatorium, and now they have this Mohan, they have spent a lot of money from CSR, and they have constructed this heritage museum depicting the Vedic and Vedic heritage. They have displayed it very well in that museum. Another important building was the sanatorium building. All the TB patients were miraculously cured by the sandstone walls and the pines there. So these were the memories I had when I was a child. And then when I left Kasauli for higher education, I went to DAV College, and then I had no idea what to do about. Then incidentally, I just happened to be in the geology department, because someone told me that is the best place you will get admission there if you get admission nowhere. That is how I had landed in geology department, and I was lucky. When I first entered, Professor Ravinder Kumar was taking this class, and he told me, his words were like that: H.B. Medlicott in 1864 discovered ill-preserved fossilized leaves from Kasauli, and these fossilized leaves were like discovered from Kasauli Club, and they were identified as palm leaves by O. P. Mental, the famous. So the palm leaves from Kasauli, but you see, nothing much was done. And when we used to read textbooks, if they were considered to mainly unfossiliferous. Kasauli sediments were considered to be unfossiliferous, and there are no fossils there. But that was the turning point in my career, and I was in first year student, and when I started exploring fossils there in the holidays, I saw the first, these were the palm leaves I discovered, but and then I am getting some lot of disturbance there, you know. I am not able, someone is speaking in between. So hello, am I audible? Okay, yeah, okay. So when I went to this was my first year, and I started to visit all the sections which I supposed Medlicott visited to hunt for fossils. But it took me around a year or so, because I never had seen fossils in reality, but my instinct was to collect fossils from Kasauli, and it took me 1 year to get the first fossils. And after now we have identified about 27 fossilized wood sites, and the fossilized wood vary from 14 feet to 75 feet long. Trees we have found fossilized, and this is now Kasauli and surrounding areas are now considered not a single, but they are fossilized forests. We have now been able to, and these are some of the interesting fossilized woods, and some of them are from Ladakh also. This is one of the one of the longest fossilized tree which was preserved. This was about 13 or 14 feet long. You can see the Kasauli sandstone beds. They are aligned parallel to the bedding plane. So in the past, when global warming uprooted these trees, so they were aligned parallel to the bedding plane, and we are seeing. But this land was bought by someone, and they just wanted to build the retaining wall. We requested them that this was a very prestigious findings. This is part of my PhD thesis, and then this was preserved, you know. This is how some preservation was done, and now it is a visitor's delight. Anybody going to Kasauli, they can see this without harming or collecting anything from here, because they have a guard there. So the fossilized tree is preserved. So this is one of my recent discoveries. First time, all these fossilized wood earlier till date which we have found were all silicified. So for the first time we were able to get this organic trees, one tree, long tree, another two trees in this sandstone block. And this was how we broke all these huge blocks and got these organic fossilized trees. So this is the fossilized wood. And going back in time, then again when I was a student, this was another great discovery at that time. In 1991 I discovered this fossilized flower fossils. So this was a remarkable discovery, delicate fossilized flowers preserved in the Kasauli siltstones, showing how calm the environment at the time of deposition was to preserve these beautiful fossils. And there was changes in the seasonality changes also there. We found these beautiful preserved leaves, then gastropods, huge numbers of them. And these are very beautiful preserved Combretum species, Garcinia, then Gluta, Clinogene, Syzygium. So these are some of about 6 species which I found after Medlicott in 1864 had discovered palm leaves. So palm leaves, what was the environment of Kasauli? That was always a puzzle. Now these species which I have mentioned are today nowhere found in Himalayas. They are found and confined to Indo-Malayan region, Indonesia and Malaysian regions, or in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. So what does this mean? This simply means that the Kasauli sediments were deposited not where we are finding it today, but they were deposited very near to the equator, maybe 4 degrees or 11 degrees north of equator. So these papers, these findings I published in 1994 in a seminar in a geological survey conducted by Geological Survey of India in Lucknow. And these findings about the timing of collision, I again presented it in fossils from Kasauli and Neuma. Neuma is in Ladakh. So we found almost similar kinds of fossils in both the locations. And what was the paleolatitude significance again in Lucknow in 2015. I also found for the first mammals of rhinoceros fossils. Then these are unios, bivalves, roots of plants, huge numbers of them, insect wings. So diverse assembly of fossils. So this is very interesting. I was still a bachelor's BSc student. In the books I was reading, Kasauli is unfossiliferous, and on the other hand, contrary to this, I was finding the largest collection of diverse fossil assemblage which we are finding in the Himalayas Kasauli sediments. These are the logs of woods. So these on-site preservations of geosites is an important feature which can associate children with these fossils, and they can know how the fossils look like, and this interests more than setting these fossils in the museum. So geosites and geoparks important for geoheritage preservations of this area, but not much has been done. So this is the longest tree. This is about 60 feet fossilized tree which I found. These are charophytes. Now this is very interesting. Earlier when I discovered this, there was no building here, and this is the location of the charophyte. This was the Shiv Mandir, and I found somewhere here. Now recently I again went to this. The laugh is because this gentleman who constructed this building thought that this mountain will fall, and he covered the entire charophyte locality. So in case we don't have these laws to preserve our geoheritage sites, all these sites, precious sites, are lost because of ignorance, and someone will construct a retaining wall, or someone will construct roads, and they are lost with time. So there is urgent need to preserve this. Now after these discoveries, then I had never seen the geological map before I discovered all these fossils, and then when I started my PhD, I started seeing these geological maps. And then this is there are Sabatu formation, resting below the in the base, but we have Sabathu marine formations directly in contact with Kasoli sediments also. There are places in Gadkhal where that is in contact. Sabathu Dakshai is red colored. Okay sir, okay, no problem. So we have this dating of Kasoli was done by me on the basis of the charophytes around Equatorian age. So 20 million years around. So this is again the panoramic view. This is Sabathu formation, Dakshai formation and Kasoli formation. We get the continuous sequence here. There is no break here, and the Shivalik formations that should be at the top here somewhere, but we never find any contact of Kasoli formation with Sabathu formation, Shivalik formation. Shivalik formation is directly in contact with Sabathu formation here, and main boundary fault is the place where it is there, and we drilled a borewell there to study the that is another aspect now. So this is the traverse showing the entire gradation, gradual transition from marine, shallow marine, coastal beach and land conditions, and then near coastal environment of the entire this Texian Himalayan sequence here. So this is again, now I'll just hurry up with these slides. These are Dakshai formations and contact. Here we find some volcanic remnants also. These are characteristics, Dakshai sediments. Verticality of the beds is a peculiar feature here. Other than being red in color, I am going down into and this is slicken sites, some ripple marks, very well preserved. They can all form part of the geoparks which you plan to decide the paleosoil horizons. You can see how the soil forming processes have been accumulated here, and very interesting things happening. Anybody, any child can see all this. So these are the quartzite sandstones representing the beach environment. And I was lucky enough, for the first time I was able to find oysters and wood fossils together in one rock, so signifying that near coastal environment was there. And this is Dakshai formation, this is Sabathu formation, and we see this folding here, the last phase of how the Tethys Sea gradually shuttered up. Landslides have always given opportunity, and the forelaining has exposed a lot of landslides here, and we have discovered a lot of fossils wealth. These are some of the oysters, beautiful, preserved them, bivalves, all courtesy landslides in due to forelaining here. These are bivalves, these are in situ fossils, and this is one of the beautiful preserved rock. The whole boulders was full of bivalves and mollusks like this, you know. We have some ripple marks. I was able to, last year I was able to find these from the, now Sabathu formations are in direct, here in this section are in direct contact with the corals, and further ahead in Solan I was able to find these beautifully preserved meteorites about 1.5 billion years. So we see 20 million years, 50 million years and 1.5 billion years. So the entire contrast and how these different geological formations are placed against each other make me feel that this was Himalayas are nothing but geological graveyard, which I have presented a paper on also. So geotracks and geosites where in situ fossils can be preserved, that is. Now I'll just hurry up with the important information about different forts. After during my PhD, I also joined hydrogeologist in Himachal government. Okay, sir. And these are beautiful preserved forts, you know. So interesting things about these forts were that there were two wells in these forts. Till date, they made about 1000 years ago, but they were made from sandstone, Kasoli sandstone, top of the hills, two wells. Still nothing has lost other than some men deliberately taking these stones to make their own houses. And doing so, I was able to get into the, then we worked in Ladakh, we went into Guinness Book of World Records, and now I just hurry up with last few slides. Now this is again, I got an opportunity to drill a well in Sanawa school, and then I saw this entire, this was about 1847, this was built. You see how beautiful the sandstones were used, Kasauli sandstones were used to build these structures. No, we don't require paints, we don't require any repair, and these buildings still stand test of time in summers and winters. And another important aspect which fascinated me was the railway tracks. This was again built about 100 years, more than 100 years ago. Today this is a UNESCO heritage site. But important aspect was, I'll just hurry up, there were about 900 bridges, 103 tunnels, one is unfunctional now, but you see how magnificently they have used the sandstones to build these bridges. They are 3 tiers, 4 tiers, 5 tiers bridges, and still date, more than 120 years, these are still functioning very well. So that is the engineering and the geological aspect, and how beautifully they have carved these hills. Without this project was completed in about 5 years times, and a railway museum is constructed in Shimla. This was because Captain Baroque was not able to complete the tunnel, the longest tunnel. He started from both sides, but he was not able to complete. And there was a saint, Mr. Bhalku, and he helped in alignment of the train and entire railway track there. And this museum is dedicated to his research and a tribute to him. So this was the Baroque. However, the Baroque station was named after that colonel who was not able to complete that. These are the arcs, beautifully arcs. So instead of using these irons, arcs are used to make beautiful structures. You know, these are again some of the 5 tiers bridges there. So now in comparison to this, we have the 4-laning work started in now, but these 4-laning structures are a disaster because I think they have not consulted any geologist. That is a statement I am making, and that is for sure, because the type of retaining walls they are constructing and the type of digging of mountains they have done is, anybody can say that no geologist was constructed, because they could have easily avoided 10 to 12 feet of cutting of these mountains if they have consulted a proper geological investigation was done. So these are debris, they can create havoc in near future. So all the they make some retaining walls, they cut these roads, they make some retaining walls, and the next year these retaining walls are falling there in Sabatu. So proper geological ignorance has caused so much landslides, land degradations. This project, now I remember, 100 kilometers of railway track was constructed in 5 years, 900 bridges and 103 tunnels. Now in this only one tunnel and 39.14 kilometers, and 5 years have already passed, and still we are always seeing these landslides. These school buildings are in trouble. Now the railway, some portions, railway tracks are also in trouble because they have cut these mountains in such a way that has called now you see last slide, these are almost completed now. Now you see this is sandstone. Now they are cutting the sandstone and again putting this retaining wall of sandstone here. This is the blunder which they are creating, and this is what has caused so much delay, and the project cost has escalated. You see, now this 39.1 kilometers, this is 96 kilometers. This was started in 1989 and completed in 1903, 5 years. Now you see 2015 it was started, and till date nothing has been done. Only what has done is 800 crores. It was approximately 800 crores. Now it has increased to 1200 crores because of blunders of the contractors and the engineers NH1 who are doing it. So an effort was made by us in when BJP government was there in 2010, 2008, 2009. I met him and then in Ladakh, and they made me a member of this government, and we identified this geo fossil park with Arun Sharma ji, and a sanction of about 7.8 crore rupees, approximately 8 crore rupees was done to give a geoheritage status to Kasauli, and the findings which I had. So I wanted all these fossils which I had, the largest collection I have, to be displayed somewhere in Kasauli. So they agreed, and the museum was supposed to be done. But again, that's not so easy. What happened was then cantonment was taken, and cantonment board also gave the nod because Kasauli is a cantonment, and this permissions were given. Then again it was not so easy. NGT, National Green Tribunal, came from somewhere. I think they don't have any geologist with them, and they will do anything but do whatever is concerned with geological aspect. So they just, I don't know what they came. Everything was done. The building was done. Water, we took out water also, groundwater there. And when the building was about to be made, they abandoned it. So this was Geopark. Hello, am I audible? Hello? Okay, so I'm just concluding now. So this Geoheritage Museum project was scrapped. Can you just imagine? The first geopark, 8 crore rupees already sanctioned, building land allocated, and this NJT, because of NJT and no geological, GSI never worked out anything, and nobody supported, and this project was scrapped because NJT put some objections, and something like that happened, and it never materialized. So I didn't give up there. And what happened was, now I am making this, I purchased land, I'm making this earth science center here. It is very near to Kasauli in Dhangyari. The building is almost complete. Now I have almost completed the second floor also. Now interiors are all is being planned. We would have completed this year, but because of Corona, no one is visiting, and now rains have started. And so this is, I have used this entire, earlier I made this museum about here. I wanted to make it here, but I used the entire Kasauli sandstone to make this. I made these beautiful arcs here, and but this area was only 2000 square feet, so I made this around, now this is about 10,000 square feet of area which will have this museum, which I am planning to construct. This is entire funding is done by me, and now it's almost on the completion, almost complete now. So we have the fireplace, entire whatever stones, applications of Kasauli sandstone was done. I have tried to do, this is a chimney, working chimney here, arcs beautifully preserved, and how stones, we don't require any maintenance, no paints. So this is how we are planning to make the Geoheritage Museum here in Kasauli. So by this I end my presentation. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.